Yo, Swatchman for back with another F1 video. I'm just happy to say that, I'm just happy to say that. I like talking about F1. Anyways, today I'm gonna probably keep this one short because to be honest, there's not too much to talk about that hasn't already been said. But yeah, we've got the final 2 races of the season now. Very, very exciting times, especially when you consider that this is the closest it's been heading into the last 2 races since at least 2010, probably even going back further than that. Only 8 points in it now. Mathematically, if Lewis wins the next race and Max comes second with the fastest lap, so Lewis gets 25 points, Max gets 19, I believe that will close the gap to enough for it to make it so that we go into the final race with them level on points. I personally haven't seen that in my lifetime. I don't know if that's ever happened in F1 history, for there to be a legitimate winner takes all situation for the last race. And normally it's a case of if you win but he finishes lower than 5th, for example. I mean, look at Lewis's first ever championship, 2008. Massa won the race, so he was the winner, but he didn't take all because all Lewis needed to do was finish 5th. No lower than 5th, and he finished exactly 5th. Obviously, is that Glock? If you were around back then, those 3 words, if you like Lewis, they make you happy. If you hate Lewis, those 3 words probably enough to make you angry. I can't lie, is that Glock. But point being, I don't think we've ever had a situation where it's literally going into the last race, whoever wins wins the championship. I can't lie, because there's no other condition. You just win. As long as the other driver finishes as well, you need to win the race. Yeah, whoever finishes higher than the other. So they don't need to win, they just need to make sure they finish higher than the other. But that's only if Lewis wins the next race and Max comes second with the fastest lap. But with that being said, the next race looks very, very quick. Can the Red Bull get fastest lap there? Well, lap times during the race are much slower than quali times. Significantly slow, because obviously they need to manage the tyres. You can't do every lap as a quali lap, which is why Lewis's win in Hungary 2019 was just so crazy to watch, because literally every lap was a quali lap. You just don't do that. But yeah, I guess if you're Lewis Hamilton, you do that. But for 99% of drivers, that's not something you should be planning to do going into the weekend, because the whole point of a race is, what makes races so interesting, it's not always just the fastest car wins, it's really who manages the race best. And managing the race, a big part of that is making sure you keep your tyres okay. Because the fastest lap point is awarded now, teams do, and Red Bull have been pitting their driver on the penultimate lap to make, not even the penultimate lap, or sometimes it is the penultimate lap, but sometimes a few laps before, just so they can get in that fastest lap time to get the point. But what my point is that it's a very quick track, so whether or not Red Bull can snatch the pole, I don't think they will get pole for starters, but whether or not they can get fastest lap in that race, I don't know, because yeah, like I said, race laps are much slower than quali laps. But if Mercedes attempt to go for the fastest lap, I think they would have it in the bag. Whether that's Lewis, whether that's Bottas, we'll wait to see. Most likely to be Bottas, because I doubt, unless Lewis has a pit stop window ahead of Max by the end of the race, but Max is a very good driver. No matter how fast that Mercedes is, I don't think he's finishing that far behind on just pure pace. That's just not gonna happen. Max is a very, very good driver. That's why literally, if you watch the interview from the last race, when the reporter asked him after the race, you finished about 30 seconds behind, he was so quick to say, because in his head he's hold on, don't try to do me like that, Roker. You're trying to do me dirty right now. Let's not make this out I got gapped. This is not what happened. What happened is that he pit, and that's why the gap was so big. But I do like that. I don't know what I think about Max Verstappen at this point. Obviously, this title's been very heated, but I have a lot of respect for the guy, I can't lie. And one thing I really respect about him is that he doesn't take any nonsense. So when the interviewer tried to effectively make him look like an idiot, you're supposed to be fighting for the championship against this guy, you're finishing 30 seconds behind, he was very quick to just say you're missing the context here. But the point is, I don't think it will be Lewis that goes for the fastest lap. It's more likely to be Bottas that does that for Mercedes, if that is something they resort to doing, which I would assume that they would. So this hypothetical scenario that everyone's getting excited over about them being level on points is unlikely to happen, but it could happen. Obviously Mercedes aren't just gonna allow Red Bull to take the fastest lap for the sake of the spectacle. As much as it's all for entertainment, That's their jobs, like. They're not gonna give up that bonus, that race win and championship win bonus, just because it's better for the sport. Like, if you work for Mercedes-AMG Petronas, what's best for the sport is not within your initial interest, it's what's best for the team. And yeah, what's best for the team is that Mercedes get that fastest lap point. But with that being said, we will see, because if it comes to a point where, like, say Bottas is third and Perez is right behind him, are both teams gonna pit them both to both go for the fastest lap and essentially give up a podium, which is more important for the constructors? I don't know. So who knows, man? Maybe this hypothetical scenario may actually happen. But yeah, as you can see, I'm very excited just talking about it. This last 2 races are gonna be huge. Definitely the closest F1 title fight of my lifetime, at least. And I'm 18 years old. I've been watching it since 2007. Not that I remember the 2007 season, but I remember when Lewis won his first championship. So I've been watching it, for literally my whole life. And yeah, as far as I can remember back, this is the closest it's ever been. I mean, after Lewis won his, we had Button winning in the Brawn. I remember that Brawn car was very fast, but then the Red Bull caught up towards the end of the year. So I don't know how close Vettel got to winning in 2009, but after that, 2010 was quite close. But I literally just read Lawrence Barretto's article about it on the F1 website, and yeah, since 2010, none of the championships going into the last 2 races have been this close. So definitely in my lifetime, this is the closest it's ever been, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate. So yeah, obviously I'm rooting for Lewis all the time, but the reason that people have been talking heavily about this hypothetical scenario is if you watched WTF1's video from today, I believe, about what happens if they finish level on points. We have had, to my knowledge, 4 major incidents between the 2 drivers this year. 2 that have resulted in one of them, if not both of them, being out. Obviously, I'm referring to Silverstone with Max retiring from the race, and then Monza where they both retired from the race. So people are saying, yeah, if Max does get the fastest lap and comes second, and Lewis does win the next race, and then they crash, obviously I don't want that to happen. So I'm rooting for Lewis, and I just don't want there to be a crash. I'm not even gonna expand on that because I just don't want that to happen. Hopefully Lewis wins. Obviously for me, hopefully Lewis wins, but if Max wins, I guess I have to take it on the chin, have to move on. Obviously there's always next year, but yeah, like I said in the last video, it will be weird because yeah, after a while you just get so used to things being a certain way. I mean, this must be like how Ferrari fans must have felt in 2005, like the realization that the glory days that you've been enjoying literally just now have been brought to an end. This must be how Red Bull fans felt in 2014 when they just came out with a car that just couldn't compete. It must be a weird feeling. But yeah, I don't have that feeling now because effectively the dynasty hasn't come to an end yet. It's very likely, and to be honest, it's very possible, very probable that Mercedes do still take both the championships this year. But if it doesn't happen, it is what it is. There's literally always next year. And the reason I like Mercedes so much is because I genuinely believe that is probably the best F1 team ever assembled. Take away the drivers, just that team of engineers, of scientists, technicians, all of them. I don't think F1's ever seen anything like it. And the reason I have so much confidence in them wrapping this up, and the reason I have so much confidence in them if they don't succeed this year, and the reason I'm saying this always next year is because, yeah, the new regulations, I genuinely believe, once again, Mercedes are going to come out with the best package because they're just a very formidable team. There's a reason that they've won every single year since 2014. There's people that have been watching F1 since like 2015, 16, 17, maybe even 2014 that have known nothing but Mercedes double championship wins at the end of every single season, and that is quite the record. So I have faith. I definitely have faith. I can't lie, going into Brazil, the faith was diminishing, but like I said, I trust Mercedes. It's a trust that I no longer have in Arsenal to get the job done, but I fully have that trust in Mercedes. But going into Brazil, I was like, I don't know about this, and kind of the realization that if we don't deliver this weekend, it may be up. There may not be time to deliver, but we did deliver in Brazil, and then we delivered in Qatar. So now I'm in very high hopes. We have the momentum going into the end of the season. But we'll see. And as for the off-track politics as well, I hope that stops. I think Toto Wolff has made it quite clear he is not trying to get involved in any of that. He really couldn't care less. So hopefully Red Bull can just focus on winning the championship for them. But I just find it weird that they're talking so much like, you have a championship to focus on. Like, I don't know why you're raising everything up. I mean, you should aim to be so good that people can't do anything to stop your brilliance. I mean, that's what Mercedes have done the last 7 years. You just aim to be so good that whatever happens. But ultimately, you still come out on top. That's why in 2019, when Ferrari were found out, it was Red Bull who complained. It wasn't Mercedes, because Mercedes had the championship covered. Like, well, you're not complaining about a competitor cheating if it doesn't affect you winning. So, I think that's probably a good reason as to why Red Bull have been so quick to point fingers at Mercedes. Because I think deep down, like, obviously they're paranoid, obviously they're nervous. They're dethroning the kings right now. Like, obviously you're gonna do everything in your nature to make it easier for yourselves. But yeah, as for Mercedes, like, they know what they're doing, so they don't need to point fingers and say, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. They're focused on what they've got to do. So we'll see what happens going into these last 2 races. But for now, I've been Sarchi14. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. I'll be back again soon.